Okay. Pirkei Avos, chapter 2, Mishnah 4, in the middle of the Mishnah. Hillel Omer. Al tifrosh min hatzibur. Excuse me. Al tifrosh atzmo min hatzibur. A person should not separate himself from the community. To be disassociated, to live as a loner. Now, what does that mean? So here Rashi explains, and I'm going to speak about something interesting. Meaning when the community has a problem, you should feel their pain, their problem, and you should participate to whatever you can to alleviate or to do whatever you can to address that problem, whatever it is. And if you're in the community, for the community, in bad times, Hashem will allow you to be there for good times. Now, some people are only there for the party, as they say. When there's a problem, they're not interested in being there. Not interested. But if you're there for the community, for the sake of the community, which is something which is altruistic, although you're not personally experiencing the problem, then Hashem will allow you to participate in their joy, in their successes. Sisu, quotes a verse in Isaiah, Sisu ito misos, kol hamisabdim oleo. The Gemara tells us that if a person who mourns the destruction of the temple, you will rejoice in its rebuilding. A person who does not, and he's oblivious to it, he feels his life hasn't been compromised to it, you will not merit to be there and to rejoice in its rebuilding. If one does not partner with the community to feel their pain, to feel their issues, you will not see its consolation. And you will not merit blessing in your life. Perek Achon Tainis, okay? Now it's interesting. Many years ago, there was a certain person, came to Balchuva. His father lived in Hollywood, Florida. I'm not going to mention names, although you don't know who the person is. And the person himself was a funny type of personality. He wasn't a run-of-the-mill personality. Became a lawyer, eventually was married. Thank God he has children today. And his father was a total secular Jew. And years ago, there was a bombing at a nightclub in Tel Aviv. It happened Friday night. And there were 27 people killed in this nightclub. It was on Shabbos. And so I said to this person, I said, when your father heard about this, was he in any way touched badly because of it? Did he feel pain that Jews were killed due to this terrorist act? He says, no, not at all. He says, when he hears people were killed in Biafra or in Bosnia, he's not affected by it. So why should he be affected by this? He has no connection to Judaism. Not only to the religion, but even to Jewish people. He feels no different about Bosnians, Biafrans, or Jews. It's all the same to him. That's how detached he is. You understand? That means he doesn't even sense a Jewish identity. Because if a person has a Jewish identity, you feel for a brother. A brother's a brother. As they say, blood is thicker than water. As they say, you go the extra mile for a brother. You don't go the extra mile for a stranger. But there's no sense of that. We have what we call schus hatzibur. We have merit. Every day in the Amidah we say, Zoche chasdei Avos. God remembers the kindness of the patriarchs. Meaning, all these millennia, we're drawing on their account of their levels of accomplishment. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. When they contributed to the world, they gave meaning to existence, because existence was to recognize the creator and to serve the creator. They're the only ones who met that objective. As a result, we're beneficiaries of their accomplishments. Therefore, we're still drawing on their account. That's Zoh. He remembers the kindness of the Avos. Even though we're lagging, we're failing, nevertheless, we always have that reserve. The reserve is Chas the Avos. But what about if you don't even relate to them? I don't even feel I'm a Jew, even in identity-wise. Not whatsoever. That means you disconnect yourself from the tzibur. So when we need to draw on this account, you're not eligible to draw from the account because you don't identify it as part of the tzibur. Chasdei Avos is if you're part of the family at some level, but even at the most minimal level that you don't even identify with the tzibur, you know something? You're not there. If you're not there for the problem, you're not there for the party. You're not there for the solution, and that's it. And that's exactly what I'm saying here. If a person doesn't feel God's pain, we'll be observing Tishabov soon. The Mishnah tells us 5 tragedies took place on Tishabov. The destruction of the first and the second temple on the same day. Although they were hundreds of years, it was a 500. Between the first and second, the first temple stood 410. There was 70 years, and the second temple stood 420. They were both destroyed on the same day, and other tragedies took place. When we mourn the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, what are we mourning? We're mourning that we don't have a relationship with God any longer. That relationship which once existed. The temple represented a relationship. God said, because you're not worthy of that relationship, the location which is considered my location, the location of divine presence, it's closed. It's closed for future reopening. We have to be worthy. So what do we paint? What are we mourning? What are we grieving? We're grieving that we don't have that relationship that we once had. And we haven't yet been reinstated. But if you don't value, forget about the relationship, you don't even value Jewish identity, what relevance do you have to it? You want to see the consolation. You want to see the comfort of the rebuilding. You want to be there for the party. If you're not there for the initial feeling of loss, you're not there for the what? For the success. But it's much more profound than this, what I'm saying right now. Much more profound. The Rambam rules that call a porishment at Tzibor, a person who separates himself from the community, he has no share in the world to come. What is a person who separates himself from the community? He says, look, their problem is their problem, my problem is my problem, their successes are theirs, mine are mine. I live an independent life. I don't want to hear about anything about them. I live as an independent Jew. I have no connection to them. The Rambam says this person, he's a fully observant person. He keeps the Shabbos, keeps the Yom Tov, keeps dietary laws, wears tzitzis, wears tefillin, sits in the sukkah, but he's totally disconnected himself from the Jewish community. Porishment at Tzibor, their problems, theirs, their successes are theirs. I live in an independent human being, but I'm fully observant. I believe that person has no share in the world to come. So the question is why? So the only mitzvah he's not fulfilling is v'afkol v'recha kamocha. You must love your fellow Jew as you love yourself. He's delinquent. But everything else is there. I mean, why does he not have a share in the world to come? So we've discussed this in the past. We find that the patriarchs, before there was a Jewish people, where was the location of the divine presence in the world? Where was the Shekhinah? So the Chazal tell us, the Medrash tells us, Hein Hein HaMerkava. Wherever Avram was, that's where the Shekhinah was. Avram Avinu, Avram, our patriarch, was the equivalent of the Holy of Holies. Just as the divine presence was the Holy of Holies, wherever Avram was, that was the equivalent of the Holy of Holies. Yitzchak was so magnanimous in his spirituality and so broad and deep Where was the divine presence in when he was there? Wherever Yitzchak was. Yaakov being the most special of the patriarchs, he was the Merkava. He was the coach for the divine presence. These were individuals. But once there's a Jewish people, God no longer has a relationship with individuals independent of the totality. Every Jew is a member of the Jewish people. If you're spoken the wheel that causes that wheel to go round and round, so to say, then you have a share in the world to come. God no longer has relationship with individuals as individuals. God has a relationship with individuals as part of the whole. If you're part of the Jewish people, he has a relationship with you. You're not part of Jewish people, he has no relation with you. A person lives his life, although he's fully observant, but he says, their problems are theirs, and my successes are mine, and their successes are theirs, but I don't identify with them. I couldn't care less about them. God says, if that's the case, you're not part of the whole. You're not spoken the wheel. You're not a contributing member of the Jewish people. If that's the case, what is the world to come? The world to come is a relation with God. We bask in God's radiance. We have an intimate relation with him. Who has? The Jewish people. So if you're part of the Jewish people, you have a relation with him. What about I'm not part of Jewish people? Because I don't identify. But I'm righteous and devout. That doesn't qualify to have a relation with God. You have to be part of the Jewish people. If you're part of the whole, you can have a relation with God. You're not part of the whole, you have no relation with God. So therefore, when the person passes away, he has no share in the world to come. Therefore, that's one of the negative, most extreme consequences of Pershman and Tzibur. So it's not all, when it says you will not see its consolation, if you don't experience the grieving part of it, you couldn't care less. You're not there for the party. The party, the consolation is the rebuilding. That means then you were reinstated. But God says, but you're living as a lone man on a desert island. The Jewish people, wherever you are in this world, you're part of the whole. A Jew is not limited to location. It's all in mind and heart. Do I pray for the Jewish people? Do I care about the Jewish people? Am I pained when I hear something tragic happens to the Jewish people? Do I rejoice when I hear something positive happened? In 1967, when Harry was a little bit younger, we had the Six-Day War. And I remember the Six-Day War like it was today. When it broke out, the Six-Day War, I was in Baltimore at the time, and we were awoken about 3:00 in the morning. Why did they wake us up? And they said, everybody has to go to the Beis Medrash, and we have to start saying Tehillim. Because the Arab news, which is all false, said that the Egyptian army bombed Tel Aviv. They're digging mass graves. They raised 20,000 casualties. This was coming over the airwaves. People were shaken up. You can't imagine. It was like Yom Kippur. People were praying with such fervor, with such focus. It was something unbelievable. And then the truth came out. In 6 days, it was over. They destroyed every air force of all the Egyptian armies. They had endless prisoners of war. And what do we attribute to them? These Arabs are a bunch of nomads. They don't even know how to shoot a gun. They know. It's proven differently since then. In retrospect, now you should appreciate the miracle that took place. That, despite that, 6 days it was over. Today you see what we're dealing with, and where the world's at. We're being condemned to fight for our survival, and everything is false. I don't know if you saw, Huckabee made a statement. Israel was condemned by 28 nations, England, Canada, everyone, for the atrocities in Gaza. The people want food and they're killing the people who want food. I mean, it's all lies. This is Huckabee speaking, not me speaking. Factually, and yet the world says Israel must stop immediately and deal with Hamas, terrorists. It's like calling the innocent one guilty. That's what it is. But what was the Six-Day War? In retrospect, it was a miracle. We have to see God's praises. There's a day called Yom Yerushalayim. They reconquered Jerusalem. Since 48, it was shut down. The Jordanians took it over. They didn't let Jews in there. Now we finally have it back. The level of rejoicing, I'm talking even secular Jews. When we won that war and they cleared all the rubble by the Western Wall, by the Kosel, and Jews were able to visit. Every type of Jew, and every type of Jew did visit. Somehow it broke through that barrier of insensitivity that every Jew felt he belonged. I remember, again, I'm not sure if Larry was there, when they closed the Gulf of Aqaba. So they went to the United States government and they said, you gotta open it. So whoever the president was then says to the Israelis, Khrushchev said, you go and enter into this fray, you take a chance we're gonna have a third world war. That was Khrushchev. Yimach Shemo v'zichro. That was Khrushchev. So they went to the State Department, they said, you gotta do something. Israel's in jeopardy. They shut down the Gulf of Aqaba, the Straits of Tiran, they're closing down everything. They're locking us in. The United States said, so we can't do anything for you. Can't take a chance. We can't fight your battle on this one. There was a rally in Washington. 300,000 Jews. This was just before the Six-Day War. Nobody knew what was going to happen. And there were all kinds of Jews there. Orthodox, Haredi, middle-of-the-road Jews, modern Jews, conservative Jews, Reform Jews. Every color was there. Every shade of Judaism was there. And they had barriers, police barriers, because there were a handful of Palestinians. Here was 300,000 Jews. There were maybe 25 Palestinians screaming from the other side of the police barrier, separating them from us. So I remember a conservative Reform Jew says to me, he says, this is great. We're all brothers. We're all unified. We're all here for the same reason. The world has abandoned us. We have to stick together. This is the way this Reform Jew spoke. You understand what this means? This person is expressing his feeling about Jews. We have to be concerned for one another. Because if we're not concerned for one another, nobody's going to care about us. Nobody's going to be concerned for us. But what is that expression of? That's an expression of tzibur. He identifies as being part of the Jewish people. He's not like the guy from Hollywood. Says when people are killed in Bosnia, that's Jews being killed in Tel Aviv. It's all the same to him. Maybe if he would have been there, he would have said the same thing. I'm not sure. I'll comment Batzvah Yom Moso. Don't believe in yourself till the day you die. Many years ago, I remember my mashgiach's wife, she went to an ophthalmologist. I remember even his name, because I used him also when I lived in Baltimore. His name was Julian Goldberg. That was a Julian Goldberg. Himself was affiliated with John Hopkins. John Hopkins has an eye clinic. It's called Wilmer Eye Clinic. And then he must have been a man who was about 50 years old. And he says to Rebbetzin Kroglass, the wife of my mashgiach, I'll see you in 7 years. Next up, 7 years. So she came home, she said to her husband, he says, "He's seen me in 7 years. How do you know I'm going to be here in 7 years? How do you know he's going to be here in 7 years? 7 years is a long time." You'd say, check in. The doctor may not be there. The world may not be here. But how do you say it? The answer is people don't even think about they're not going to be here in 20 years from now. Because if you would, it says in Pirkei Avos, you should always consider the day that you die. Because if you're realizing you're going to die, you're going to make corrections in your life before you check out, so to say. 7 years, I'll see you around. I'll be right back, and the person forgets to come back. And it's not because he had a car accident. Person comes there, somebody give him charity. I'll be right back. The guy escapes through the back door. I'll be right back. That's the way people are. I'll come back outside your Moscow. We all, unfortunately, we take things for granted. We rest on our laurels. We believe whatever it is will continue. There will never be a rainy day. Things are not going to change. Today, I feel committed to Judaism. Therefore, there are many things which I should be doing I don't have to do because I think I'm sufficiently involved today. You never know what tomorrow may bring. Tomorrow, God forbid, you may have a challenge. You may get a curveball, which may throw you for a loop. May knock you off your feet, God forbid. That's how overwhelming that challenge may be, that test may be. So today, you're a tzaddik. You think you're in a good place. Why? Because thank God, God hasn't yet turned the screws on you. But if he will turn the screws, I'll come outside the Avos. Don't count on yourself. Don't believe in yourself to the point, because you only know who you are, what you are, is the day that you check out of the system. The day you leave this world, then you can quantify yourself. Am I satisfied with my accomplishments or not? But until then, don't rest on your laurels. Because at the last moment, if you should change your belief or the direction of belief, you may forfeit everything. I always mention the Medrash. King Solomon, the wise man ever lived, says, "I envy the dead and not the living." What you'd say, you envy the living, not the dead. So the Midrash says, what does that analogous to? In the olden days, or not recent times, when they finished building a ship, they christen it and they send it out on its maiden voyage. And they have bands and they have speeches and they bottles of champagne, break it on the hull of the boat, goes out. So King Solomon says, do you know whether that boat's coming back? It may not be coming back. In the old days, the high seas were dangerous. If it goes and comes back, there's what to rejoice. But if it doesn't come back, and it may not come back, what are you rejoicing? Okay? The answer is on the boat, because during the season, the waters are calm, there's no reason to say it wouldn't come back. But a human being is not the case. Unless you take every precaution, when we talk about fences, and shore up to protect what you have, it's not so simple you can be here tomorrow. You're going to receive the same, may not.